Welcome to this Advent devotional series. I am Reverend Lester Spees, and I have the privilege of serving as pastor at Memorial Lutheran Church in Glendale, Wisconsin. During this Advent season, I have been reflecting on some tough questions that come from Scripture and on some sacred spaces that have helped me to respond to those questions. Thank you for joining me in this journey. Today's devotion is for Sunday, December 24th, 2023, or Christmas Eve, the very last day of the Advent season. And the tough question comes from St. John chapter 1, verse 46. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? Christmas Eve has been and continues to be one of my favorite days of the year. As a pastor, it has been and continues to be also one of my busiest days of the year. There are a lot of things happening at the church. There are a lot of things happening at home. And this has been especially true in the days leading up to Christmas Eve each year. I anticipate that this year will be no exception. In fact, I suspect that this will be the busiest and most activity-filled Christmas Eve in the Spees family's history for lots of reasons. But the increase in activities over the years has not taken away from the joy of this day and this time. As a child, Christmas Eve was filled with anticipation and celebration. We opened gifts on Christmas Day and never before. So Christmas Eve was filled with anticipation of what Christmas Day might bring in the form of wrapped presents. But Christmas Eve was also about worship and the celebration of what the gift of the Christ child means for the world. My mom and dad rarely went with me to church throughout the year. However, in the days when I was little and before I got my driver's license, one of the rare exceptions to the no church attendance practice was Christmas Eve. I still got to sit by Grandma, but Mom, Dad, and my sister helped to fill the pew, and that was something to celebrate as well. My home church, St. Peter Lutheran Church, offered a late night service that evening. I think it started at 10:30 p.m. or 11 p.m., but I know that it concluded sometime close to the midnight hour. That was late for a small child, so I could usually take a nap somewhere during the late afternoon or early evening in order to make sure that I could stay awake for the service. And stay awake I did. My favorite part of the service was when we got to light candles and sing Silent Night and Away in the Manger. It still is. There was something truly special for me about that particular gathering. It was simple. It was calming. It was a celebration of light in the midst of the darkness. In that time of worship and on that holy night, I felt surrounded by peace, joy, and the love of God. After worship, my parents would load us up in the truck and we would start the roughly 10-minute journey back home on the farm to get some rest before the big day. But instead of heading straight home, my dad would take a short detour that evening that took us to the location of the local courthouse. Each year, starting sometimes around the end of November, lights were strung from the top of the Lavaca County Courthouse, located in downtown Hallettsville, to the buildings that encircled the square of land at the site of the courthouse. In doing this, the image of a canopy was revealed. You could see the canopy for miles, and it got larger and brighter the closer you got into town. On Christmas Eve, the final tradition of the night was to drive to the courthouse, get under the canopy of light, and look up at the glorious sight. If the traffic wasn't too bad that evening around the square, we were usually blessed with a second rotation before exiting and making the trip home. As we left the square and continued our journey to the farm, I would turn and look out the rear window of the truck as the canopy of light started to become a dot of light until disappearing into the distance. Then I would turn around, face the front of the vehicle, close my eyes, and fall asleep in heavenly peace. The people of Hallettsville continue this tradition each year. Over the years, it has gotten bigger. There are even more lights that are part of the festivities these days. There are even more community activities associated with this tradition than there were decades ago. It continues to be a place of gathering and remembering the meaning of the season. I hope someday to be able to make the journey back to the courthouse and the canopy of lights during the holy season and see what it has become for the community today. There's an old saying that goes, the more, the merrier. Of course, just because a saying is old, that doesn't make it true. More isn't always merrier. However, in this case, I'm okay with the more. I don't begrudge the expansion of the tradition. It makes me happy to know that others have found the same kind of joy and comfort that I have found in those lights, and that they want to add even more to the tradition. So why not? The more, the merrier. But I don't need more in order to be merry. What I remember wasn't fancy or big. It was simple. It was calming. It was a celebration of light in the midst of the darkness. And that seemed to be more than enough to convey the most important message. Under that canopy of light on that holy night, I felt surrounded by peace, joy, and the love of God. I still do.